Gosh, it's a beautiful day. The sun is creating rainbows across the video. Never mind, perhaps that's a nice thing. I think I'm just going with the flow today. I'd planned to come down here to take you for a short walk along the River Ystwyth, the same place I took you to the very first video I made. But I've forgotten my microphone, and I would have sworn I packed it, but I didn't. And walking and talking by the river won't work without a microphone. So I'm sitting here on a bench looking at the river with a cup of tea, and I think perhaps that is the thing just to do today. No stroll this week, just to sit and enjoy the sound of the river. I'm having an odd week. I think I've had my best day in many months and my worst day in many months this week. Earlier on in the week I woke up feeling really chipper, feeling best night's sleep I'd had for a very long time, and I decided that I would go to town to do a couple of chores, including buying some yarn. And I had a really lovely morning in town, took it very slowly. I had breakfast when I got to town, did a little bit of shopping, and then sat in a cafe with a cup of tea for a good half hour before I drove home. So it was quite a gentle trip, and it felt lovely actually to be out and about in town. But then a couple of days later, I woke up just feeling atrocious, absolutely atrocious, and just couldn't really move. So the rest of this week has really just been about going very slowly, not trying to do too much, just being led by what I'm able to do. And today I thought, well, I feel okay, I'll come for a short walk. I'd planned a different walk this week. I planned to take you to the source of the Ystwyth. Last week I took you to the mouth of the Ystwyth, and I thought it would be rather lovely to take you to its source, which is right at the top of the valley where I live. But it is quite a hilly walk, and I thought it probably wouldn't be the thing to do today. So instead I thought I'd come for a walk here along the Ystwyth, a very familiar walk for me and one I do love to take. But seeing I've not got the microphone, I think perhaps I decided I would just sit here and have a quick chat before I go home, have something to eat, and then we can have a work session a little later. So rather a different video this week, but perhaps that's okay, just sitting here enjoying the sun, enjoying the fact that the sun is doing very strange things. Ooh, there we are. Oh, no. Very strange things to my video, but there we are. I've got a cup of tea. I brought a flask of tea with me, most of which I've drunk, and it's just nice to sit here on a very quiet, very peaceful day. I think this really is my favourite time of year. The time around the equinox always feels very calm, and the weather is almost always good, actually. We've had some absolutely beautiful days over the last few days, so whilst I've been resting a lot, I have been enjoying the big blue sky and the calm weather, and it's warm without being too hot, and the air just feels very fresh, very I was going to say it was very new. Actually, autumn's a strange time. It's a very strange time because it has that newness about it, and at the same time it's about the end of things. It's about harvesting and the end of things, but I do enjoy it. So maybe I'll just go for a very short walk without any talking, and then I'll go home and we can have a work session. So sorry that this hasn't gone to plan. I'm hoping that you'll be able to hear me without the microphone. If not, I'll have to think again of what to do. But thank you for joining me on this rather lovely picnic bench by the river, and I shall see you in my studio very shortly, and we can have our more normal work session together. Take care. Good afternoon. It's a beautiful afternoon. I've actually had a bit of a sleep, and I must admit I'm feeling a bit dopey right now, but I did want to come out and have have our work session and just sit here and do a little bit of crocheting. And it would be lovely if you would like to join me. I've got my tea, I've got my top up of tea as well, so I'm well catered for. And I've got a couple of things actually that I'm working on at the moment. I can't remember where I was at with my purple sock last time we worked together, but I suspect I've not got very much further. You might remember better than me where we were at. Actually, I think I have got a little way with it, but I've paused it for the time being. Normally, I'm not someone who likes to work on multiple things at once. I much prefer to focus on one thing, put my energy and time into it until it's finished, and then move on to the next thing. I find if I spread my focus too much, it's more than just diluted equally. It's somehow diluted in a way that much less gets done. However, having said that, I've actually started a new project. In fact, and really it's two projects. Earlier on this week, I had some news. There's a new member of the family. One of my nephew's wives has just had a baby, and I really wanted to make him a blanket. However, there's an added complication because this baby has an older brother. I think he's about eight years older, so a very similar difference actually between me and my own brother. And I just know that I don't want to send the baby a present without sending his brother something. So I've actually decided to make 2 blankets, and I've got the yarn to make 2 blankets. And I must admit, when I started, I hadn't realised quite how much I'd bitten off, but nonetheless, I have made a start on the first of these 2 blankets, which is the larger one, which is going to be for the new baby's brother. And actually it's growing reasonably quickly. So that's what I'm going to be working on today, and that's what I'm going to be working on probably until it's finished. I'm quite enjoying it actually. When I first came out here, I thought I was going to work on my sock today because I wanted to be a bit consistent in these videos. But because I've been working on this bigger blanket with a bigger hook, the stitch has been bigger. It's all felt much lighter and easier. And I picked up the sock and actually thought, oh gosh, that feels like actually it's going to feel quite hard to get back to that. So I'm going to pause with this, I think, for the time being. So you might not see the sock for a week or 2. But I will finish it. Instead, I shall sit and work on this blanket, which has been really, really nice to do. I've been sitting in bed quite a lot. I've had a really very tired week. I had a lovely day earlier on in the week. I woke up feeling much better than I felt for ages. I think I said this in the first half, didn't I, of the podcast? But the rest of the week, since that day, I've just been really tired. So it's been quite nice sitting in bed working on this. Pick it up in the morning when I first wake up, do a bit after my afternoon nap, and actually sitting in the evening doing a bit as well, which I haven't been able to do with this sock because it's so dark. I actually find working in anything but reasonably good daylight quite difficult. So it's been quite nice having this to do, and even if I wake up in the night, it's something I can pick up and do a little bit of. So it's been nice. So I actually have made quite good progress, but I hadn't realised quite how much work there is going to be in this. I think I'm on my 3rd wall of wool already. So it's, yeah. And this is just the first one. I think this might be the month of 2 blankets. So there we are. That's what I'm doing. That's what I'm doing today. And it would be lovely to have some company if you'd like to join me on whatever you're working on. Let's wind up the timer. There we go. 20 minutes on the clock. Good luck with whatever you're doing. This is the first time, I think. Is it the first time I've sat out here doing this? Actually, no, it's not. I sat out here earlier on in the week because I'm experimenting with something a bit secret. I'd forgotten about that, so perhaps I won't talk too much about that just now. But I have been out here working on this actually, but it was much smaller when I was doing that. And it feels like quite a big thing to be working on, actually. Quite just to kind of handle it and move it around feels quite quite a big deal, but I'm sure I'll get used to it. Very different to my tiny little socks, which are lovely portable projects. So how has your week been? Have you been focusing on one creative project this week? Are you spreading your focus across many different things, or a couple of different things, or is there something important that you're focused on at the moment? I would love to hear. I have got a few comments from last week, and actually the week before the video has had a few comments too last week, which I haven't answered yet, so I will get to that. I do want to be as active as I can be in the comments, so please do let me know what you're getting up to if you're watching this on Facebook. Gosh, I think I have a fly or a wasp in here making a lot of noise. Never mind. I can't actually open my roof light at the moment, my ceiling window thing at the moment. So it will have to wait until I can open the studio door. Last week I was talking about this idea of trying on ways of being, sort of new ways of being. And I mean, I'm sure you know, if you've been watching or listening to these podcasts for a while at a time, and there's a bit of an in-between place at the moment, a bit of a time of transition, and I've been sort of weighing up different ways of moving ahead. Some more similar to the life I live at the moment than others, and I was talking last week about this idea of trying on a way of being, much like we try on new clothes to see how they fit, and actually when we first try on clothes, sometimes they can just feel a bit strange because they're new, especially things like shoes, for instance. So we need to wear them in a bit and try them out. So I was thinking that it would be a really good idea just to try on some of these ideas that I'm having, and I've decided I'm going to do that as much as I can for the next month. So I'm going to cut back a lot on what I've been doing. I think I've already started, actually, without realising it this week, because I was so tired this week. I've not audio podcasted at all this week. Like last week, I just forgot completely on Sunday to do it. I think because the end of my week is focused on making these podcasts, I post them on Saturday. Then on Sunday, I think I just breathe out and relax, and just forget. So I did forget again this week to make the audio podcast. But when Wednesday rolled around, I was just too tired, and I decided I wouldn't record a podcast on Wednesday. And on Thursday, I was still really tired. I was very tempted to record a podcast, but I thought I would just let myself off the hook, actually, and just see how that felt. And then on Friday, it's Friday today, I knew that I'd be making this anyway. So I thought, well, actually, let's just do that and just make this the one podcast for the week and just see how that feels. And that is the structure I'm going to adopt for the next month. I am just going to make one video podcast a week, and also an audio version of it too, and just see how that feels. I don't know if that necessarily is the way I'm going to be going forward beyond this coming month, but I thought it would be good just to try that and see how it felt. And it feels quite exciting, and it feels a bit of a relief, actually, to have decided that. And I'm also, for this next month, going to cut back on my creative circle work as well. I'm actually going to take a break for a month and see how that feels. That feels really hard. That feels like a really hard thing to do. But I think it's important just to try it on, to see how it feels for me and how it feels for members of the creative circle as well. So I'm sort of sitting with that decision, and then I shall sit with how it feels for a month, and I will just see. So this isn't necessarily a firm decision about how things are going to look going forward, though obviously that might be a way forward. But yeah, I just want to see. I mean, the truth is I've been struggling more and more physically for the last couple of months, and particularly since we had summer school in August, the course I run in August. I haven't really got back to my kind of base level of okayness, my base level of activity since summer school. So, yeah, a bit of a break. So yes, for the next month, this is what I'm going to be doing. I'm going to be recording a weekly video and audio podcast with a 20-minute work session in it. And I'm also working on this little extra secret thing that I'm doing that sort of fits in with that, which I will talk more about in a week or two or three. And I do think, certainly for the time being, that is going to be enough. I feel like I'm just sort of keeping my head above water at the moment in terms of activity. Hasn't been space for much else. Well, apart from that really lovely day that I had earlier in the week. It was very strange to wake up. I slept really well. And yeah, suddenly I just felt able just to go to town. And maybe, and I was wondering as I was doing it, maybe it would have been better just to have enjoyed feeling a bit better and not try to do anything with that energy, actually. And I wonder if I'd been talking to someone that I mentor, whether I would have said exactly that, actually, feel just really enjoy feeling better, don't try and do anything with that energy. I wonder how that would have been, because I was pretty much back to where I was afterwards. Though today I have had another really good sleep. This afternoon I had a really, really good sleep. And I had quite a big dream as well, which felt quite relevant to what's going on at the moment, actually. So, yeah. finished listening to my Agatha Christie, my Poirot book this morning while I was working on this. I really got into it. So I'm sorry it finished, actually. I need to find something else to listen to. It was very good. There's been 3 now written by Sophie. Oh, do I seem to forget every time? Sophie Hannah. This is the 3rd one, the 3rd Poirot story she's written. And this one felt, I mean, I suppose there's a slight newness about it, which actually works really well. So, but it is very true to Agatha Christie, I think. Poirot has a new sidekick, which I must admit, the first book when I read it, and he actually writes the report he writes the book. The book is sort of written by him, much like Dr. Watson writes Sherlock Holmes. So that's a bit different. Did Captain Hastings write up? I don't think Captain Hastings did write Poirot stories. Did he? Perhaps he did. I can't remember now. But someone knows. But when I first came across that, the very first book of these 3, I didn't really like it very much, but it's grown on me, and I rather like the sidekick. He's called Catchpole. He's a police inspector. I do rather like him. So that was good. I enjoyed listening to that. But yes, now I need something else to listen to. I have got another Agatha Christie on the go as well, which is one of those books I listen to that I know well, that I often listen to when I'm going to sleep. So I have been listening to that a bit today since the first Poirot finished. But this is a story I know well. It's the 450 from Paddington. I suppose the thing I really like about Agatha Christie is that, before I knew them all, before I'd read them all, that there's a lot of familiarity because of the characters, but then there's something new as well, and there's whodunit aspect. And it's so lovely to have that back with these new books. After I read all the Agatha Christies, I discovered that there were a couple of plays that she'd written. I think is it Black Coffee? I can't remember. And Spider's Web, but I can't remember absolutely. But someone had taken the plays and made those into novels as well. So I did read those. And of course there was The Mousetrap too, the famous Agatha Christie play, which I saw a couple of years ago for the first time. But I don't know if that is a novel. But, yeah, I think perhaps it's partly the weather at the moment. It's just so lovely. So lovely listening to a whodunit, a cosy crime whodunit. I'm not really someone who likes more gory whodunits. I did used to read a lot of the Patricia Cornwell books, actually, a lot of years ago, but I stopped. It started to get a bit too, or perhaps I just got less able to cope with too much stress and gore. So, have you got any recommendations for cosy crime? I'd be happy to hear them. is such a beautiful day today. It's so peaceful. I've had my studio door open actually because, have I said already? I think I might have done. There's been a workman here working on preparing the studio but also painting the house, and he used some sort of wood filler that just absolutely stunk. So I had the door open. I thought it would smell wouldn't go actually, but it seems much nicer in here this afternoon. After it feeling so lovely and friendly in here, since I sorted things out a bit in here, it was a bit demoralising to have this awful smell. I mean, it's worth getting it done. I mean, there was actually quite a lot of repair work needed. I knew some of the slats on the front of the studio were rotten, but when he pulled those back, some of the internal structure was too, so he's had to do quite a lot of work. The front there in front of me, the weather is where the weather hits, so it really does suffer, the front of the studio. And this is 15 years old now, I think, this studio. So I mean, it has had work done on it, but not quite as much as it had this year, so it's not finished yet. Gosh, I'm just wondering if this is almost the same colour as my wall. It is, sort of, actually. No wonder I like it. I was quite drawn to this colour when I bought it. I used a little bit of it in my very first blanket that I made. So I had a bit left over. I started practising this stitch with it. And then I went and bought loads of it earlier on in the week. It makes me very happy, this colour. It's a blue. If you're if you're listening to the audio version of this podcast, it's a lovely bright blue, which is the same as the studio walls. There, 20 minutes. How did you get on? You've had a good 20 minutes. I'd love to hear what you've been up to. Do let me know in the comments below what you're working on this week, and also how your week has gone. It's really nice to hear how people's lives are going, the good and the bad. I mean, it's fine not to be having a good week. Much better to be having a good one, but it's fine if you're not. Still happy to hear. And yeah, have a good week. I shall be back again next weekend for another, well, hopefully a stroll next weekend, energy allowing, a stroll and another work session. And I shall look forward very much to talking to you then. If you've enjoyed this video, I would very much appreciate it if you'd give it the thumbs up on YouTube, and also if you're new here, if you enjoy it and would like to come again, do hit the subscribe button as well. It would be great to have you along. Take care. Thanks ever so much for watching.